Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going through this book about Kuwait. We will be looking at all the pictures and reading all the little boxes. And just a disclaimer, I am pronouncing everything in the American English version because I am American. So if you want to be like, oh, it's actually Kuwait. In America, it's Kuwait. So that's how everything's being pronounced in this book. But that being said, let's dive right into Kuwait. Starting off with these famous water towers you saw on the cover. Pretty, probably like the most recognizable landmark in Kuwait City. There's a very kindly looking man there. Let's see, there's some old Dows here. Looks like they're doing some like old pearl diving recreations. Here's a map of Kuwait. You can see it's pretty much just all along the coast here. This is still Kuwait, but there's like nothing out there. It is a bunch of sand. Very little tiny pearls. That's how they would get them back in the day. And these are the Dows. The handmade ships. When I say handmade, it means like they didn't use like hammers and stuff. They just made these boats. They're really cool. Yep, that's how they're made. When I say they're handmade, they're literally just like put together by hand. Really amazing. But now Kuwait is not famous for pearls. It's famous for oil. That is its big, big, big industry, which allows it fabulous wealth. Some fancy cars here in the fancy shopping center, and strolling along the shore here in Kuwait City. Yep, this is what like 98% of Kuwait looks like. Really pretty picture with the moon and everything, but it is mostly sand. It is a heck of a lot of sand. There are, of course, beautiful beaches where that sand meets the Persian Gulf or Arabian Gulf. It's not the video to discuss what its name actually is. We're just going with it. Let's read about the neutral zone. In 1922, an agreement between Kuwait and Saudi Arabia established the neutral zone, also called the partitioned zone. Measuring about 2,000 square miles, this area straddles Kuwait's southern border with Saudi Arabia. Today, these two countries share equally all the money made from the zone's oil reserves. And let's see, they're growing something here. I can't tell what it is. Maybe like carrots? I can't tell. There's an ancient city here on a phylica island. Pretty cool. Let's read about the cities of Kuwait. Most of the population of Kuwait lives in Kuwait City and the surrounding suburbs. Very few people live inland, but there are a few other sizable cities located elsewhere along the Kuwaiti coast. South of Kuwait City is Al Falahil, home to about 74,200 people. This traditional town now functions as a suburb of the capital. Al Falahil has a large oil refinery, but it also features a wide variety of shops, malls, and restaurants. I promise I can talk. Built in the 1940s and 1950s to house workers in Kuwait's oil industry, Al Ahmadi now has about 41,600 residents. Named after Emir Jabir al-Ahmed al-Jabir al-Sabah, it is the headquarters of the Kuwait Oil Company. Al Ahmadi is also known for its public gardens and for its large soccer stadium. Thanks to its freshwater wells, the oasis city of Al-Jara was Kuwait's traditional center of agriculture. Located about 30 miles west of Kuwait City, it has a population of about 28,400 and is the capital of the large Al-Jara governorate, which is similar to a state. Al Jara is the nation's greenest city, with parks and farms interspersed among its high-rises and villas. It is also home to the Red Palace, one of Kuwait's most important historical landmarks. There, Kuwaiti soldiers battled an invading force from Saudi Arabia in 1920. There it is up there. Once a river. Today, Kuwait has no permanent lakes or rivers, but images from space satellites suggest that about 10,000 years ago, a great river delta covered much of the country. In 1993, Egyptian-American scientist Farouk Elbaz presented the theory that an ancient 500-mile-long river, with its source in the mountains of western Saudi Arabia, once flowed eastward across the Arabian Peninsula. Called the Kuwait River by Elbaz, it was possibly as much as 3 miles wide and covered an even larger area at its mouth, located in present-day Kuwait. Elbaz theorized that volcanic gravel, I don't know why I just stared at that word like I'd never seen it before. Volcanic gravel found in much of Kuwait was likely carried there by the river's waters from mountains hundreds of miles away. Which here's Kuwait from above, and I mean, it does kind of look like an old river delta in a way, right? I guess. There's a big desalination plant getting all this water over here and making it drinkable. It's a rainy day, flooded the roads, and a big sandstorm. You can't even see where you're going. Very scary. These were the fires started in the oil fields by the retreating Iraqi soldiers during the Gulf War. Big natural disaster. And speaking of, here's a sweet little duck covered in oil from an oil spill. It's so sad. Some animals out grazing. We've got some sheepies and some camels. We've got the desert beauty, it says. Bright yellow arfaj is the national flower of Kuwait. A member of the daisy family, it grows on a dense desert shrub. Native to Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, as well as Kuwait, the arfaj plant can survive with very little water. The flowers bloom in spring, most commonly in April and May. Traditionally, the arfaj was used to make medicines, feed livestock, and light fires. Because of changes to the plant's environment caused by human activity, there are now far fewer arfaj blooms brightening up the desert than there were in years past. And here is Green Island. Residents of Kuwait City looking for a little greenery need only to stroll over a pedestrian bridge to Green Island. Opened in 1988, the artificial island is full of attractions from a game park to restaurants to outdoor concerts. But for many Kuwaitis, its biggest draw is its well-maintained vegetation. Whether strolling through its gardens or picnicking under a shady tree, many visitors to Green Island enjoy experiencing nature in this very unnatural setting. Yeah, it looks really cool. Here is a dab lizard. It says, looks like he's singing. It's cute. Here is a desert beast. The national animal of Kuwait is the Arabian camel. It is one of the largest animals found in the country. Camels are perfectly suited to Kuwait's desert lands. Able to draw water from the fat stored in their single hump, they can survive weeks without water, even in stifling summer heat. Their footpads allow them to easily tread across the desert, while their heavy eyebrows and long eyelashes keep blowing sand from getting in their eyes. The Bedouin people who first settled Kuwait traveled by camel. Here's a very adorable fennec fox and some flamingos. Oh, here we are in the aquarium. Very, very cool. Let's read about the Kuwait Dive Team. Founded in 1986, the Kuwait Dive Team is working to preserve and protect the country's marine life. Staffed by volunteers, it takes part in the Coral Watch program. Coral reefs are made up of the skeletons of tiny creatures called coral polyps. The reefs are vibrant ecosystems, holding a wide variety of plant and animal life. Coral reefs in the Persian Gulf provide food and shelter for many species of fish and marine life. But in recent years, the health of the coral has been threatened by warming water temperatures and human activities. The Kuwait Dive Team goes into the waters off the shore to retrieve sunken boats and abandoned fishing nets that threaten the reefs. It also sets up buoys on the water above the coral so that boats do not accidentally damage the reefs with their anchors. The members of the Kuwait Dive Team consider education an important part of their mission. The group hopes to inspire young Kuwaitis to join the fight to protect the country's fragile marine environment. So important, right? I love this. This is, I was going to say this must be Dil Moon. I just read the caption. This is definitely from the Dil Moon culture. Very, very cool, old-timey culture. Very famous in Bahrain, but nevertheless also lived in what's now Kuwait. You can see there's Phylica Island, where all of the it actually talks about it here. Let me just read about it. But there's Bahrain, and you can see the trade routes going back and forth, right? Let's read about excavating Phylica Island. Kuwait's Phylica Island is one of the most intriguing archaeological sites in the Middle East. It has been visited by teams of archaeologists from Poland, France, Italy, and Denmark, all looking for buried artifacts that might shed light on the island's 4,000-year history. Among their most interesting discoveries were the ruins of several churches dating from the 8th and 9th centuries. So cool. This is definitely a drawing, right? The little Bedouin camp there. Big old market. This is definitely a photograph taken in the 1910s, and that's so cool. I love old photographs. So neat. Let's read about Mubarak the Great. Born in 1840, Mubarak al-Sabah, also known as Mubarak the Great, is today considered the father of modern Kuwait. His father, Abdullah al-Sabah, served as the ruler of Kuwait during the late 19th century. After his death in 1892, Mubarak's older brother Muhammad became Kuwait's new ruler, although he worked closely with his brother Jara. Muhammad placed Mubarak in charge of trying to keep peace with the Bedouin tribes living inland. Perhaps Mubarak feared Muhammad and Jara were plotting against him, or possibly he believed that a distant relative, Yusuf ibn Abdullah al-Ibrahim, was about to try to wrest control of Kuwait from Muhammad, who was proving to be a weak leader. Whatever Mubarak's motivation, contemporary accounts hold that, with the help of his sons Jabir and Salim, Mubarak assassinated his brothers Muhammad and Jara and named himself the ruler of Kuwait. With the backing of the powerful Ottoman Empire, Yusuf tried to challenge Mubarak's claim to the throne. To protect Kuwait and his position, Mubarak negotiated an agreement with Great Britain, which promised to provide military protection for the country. In addition to dealing with the Ottoman threat, Mubarak also helped develop Kuwait. He established schools, oversaw the opening of the country's first hospital, and created a postal service. Ever since the death of Mubarak the Great in 1915, the ruler of Kuwait has always been a direct descendant from one of his two sons. Let's see a map here of the neutral zone. Very, very interesting how Kuwait has expanded over the years. There's the border, established 1969. Anyway, the Red Palace. Today, very few structures of historical importance in Kuwait are still standing. A rare exception is the Red Palace. Located in Al-Jara, about 30 miles west of Kuwait City, the Red Palace is a large rectangular fort. It was probably constructed in the late 19th century by Mubarak the Great, the ruler of Kuwait at that time. Built from mud bricks, the fort has 33 rooms and 6 courtyards. The structure is most famous for its role in the Battle of Al-Jara in 1920. During the conflict, Najd forces from what is now Saudi Arabia briefly took control of the Red Palace before being expelled by Kuwait's ruler Salim al-Mubarak al-Sabah and his army. The Red Palace got its name from the rose hue of its bricks, but folklore maintains it was stained that color by the blood of the Kuwaitis who fought and died there. The Red Palace is now a historical museum. Let's see. Big oil well here. Out in the desert. The ruler of Kuwait from 1921 to 1950, it's Ahmed al-Jaber al-Sabah. Another cool photograph of Kuwait City. This is in 1956. You can kind of tell by the cars, right? And a photo from the Gulf War. Oh, no, it's not. It's not from the Gulf War. It's from 1961. It certainly looked like it. There's the soldiers running in the desert. This is Jaber the Third, it says. Here's a map of the various invasions and conflicts throughout Kuwait during the Gulf War, when Iraq invaded Kuwait and occupied it. Let's read about it. A brutal occupation. The Kuwaiti people suffered greatly during their nation's occupation by Iraq. Iraqi soldiers rounded up everyone they thought might mount a resistance movement. The people they arrested were subject to brutal interrogations and were sometimes tortured. Many were then sent to prisons in Iraq. Others were executed in front of their families. Iraqi soldiers also routinely stole possessions and destroyed houses owned by Kuwaitis. During the 6-month occupation, about half the total population of Kuwait fled the country. There's some American tanks rolling in to help liberate Kuwait, and a picture of Kuwait City after the Gulf War. And some landmines still in the desert, even to this day. This guy is voting here in elections. And a picture of what Kuwait City looks like today. Very vibrant, very, very modern desert city. This is from Iraq. I'm not quite sure why it's in this book, but this was when the U.S. invaded Iraq. I guess it's part of Kuwait's history, too, bringing down Saddam Hussein. And this is a protest. Let's see. Opposition leader for insulting the Kuwaiti emir. Yep, that would be a cause for a protest, for sure. And this is Sabah al-Ahmed al-Jaber al-Sabah. Let's read about a look at the capital. Let's read about Kuwait City. According to Kuwait's official census, the capital of Kuwait City has only about 32,400 residents. This figure counts only the people living in the city's center. When the surrounding suburbs are taken into account, Kuwait City's population is about 2.4 million. In fact, the majority of people living in Kuwait reside in the Kuwait City metropolitan area. Located on the southern shore of Kuwait Bay, Kuwait City was founded in the mid-1700s and soon became an important trading center. but nearly all evidence of the city's history is now gone. The old walls surrounding Kuwait City were torn down during the period of rapid growth after Kuwait began exporting oil in 1946. Today, only the Iron Gate from the city wall stands as a monument to the past. Kuwait City is not just the capital. It is also Kuwait's leading financial and cultural center. It is a gleaming modern city filled with skyscrapers and high-rise apartment buildings. Throughout Kuwait City, there are lively restaurants, crowded coffee shops, world-class museums, well-maintained parks, and luxury shops. It is also the home of Kuwait University, the National Assembly Building, and the Saif Palace, where Kuwait's ruler, the Emir, lives. The city's most famous landmark is the Kuwait Towers. The highest of these 3 steel towers rises to 614 feet. On this tower are 2 huge spheres decorated with glittering blue and green stones. The lower sphere houses several restaurants, while the higher one contains a rotating observation deck that provides spectacular views of the city and the Persian Gulf. And again, these are the towers you see here on the cover of the book. Very, very cool. The offices of the Prime Minister, it says. Pretty clock tower there. It is high noon. Let's see. One of the, ministers of the government, one of the first 4 women to win seats in the National Assembly, that's Masoma al-Mubarak. There's the National Assembly building. And here's a flag of Kuwait, but this is about the national anthem. Let's just read this part. Since 1978, the song Al-Nasheed Al-Watani, which just means national anthem, has often been performed during national holidays in Kuwait. The anthem's lyrics, which pay tribute to both Kuwait's founders and its emir, were written by poet Ahmad Mashari al-Adwani. Ibrahim Nasser al-Sula wrote the music. Let's see, and she's voting in the election here. Let's read about a pioneering politician. A noted economist and women's rights activist, Rola Dashti became one of the first women elected to Kuwait's National Assembly in May 2009. Born in 1964, Dashti attended Johns Hopkins University in the United States, where she studied economics. Returning to her native country, she worked at the Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research and the National Bank of Kuwait. Elected the chairman of the Kuwait Economic Society, Dashti became the first woman to hold this prestigious position. Active in Kuwait's women's rights movement, Dashti was a leader in the campaign to allow women to vote in Kuwaiti elections. After women were granted voting rights in 2006, she was the first Kuwaiti woman to register to vote. In the historic 2009 election, Dashti and 3 other women became the first female members of the National Assembly, Kuwait's legislature. As Dashti explained in 2010, Kuwaitis were extremely joyful about having women in the National Assembly, but with that joy comes high expectations. People see women as saviors, as the ones who will bring real change. Dashti was later named to the Council of Ministers and served as both the Minister of Planning and Development and the Minister of National Assembly Affairs. Oop. Squeaky pages there. Is that ASMR? I don't know. Let me know what you think. I hope I didn't wake up anybody. This guy's making he's a lawyer. That's why he's making a very important phone call there outside the Constitutional Court. And here is Kuwait's flag. Let's read about it. The Kuwaiti flag features 3 horizontal bands, a green one on top, a white one in the middle, and a red one on the bottom. On the left side of the flag appears a black trapezoid, a four-sided figure with only two parallel sides. The flag of Kuwait is similar to the flag of the Arab Revolt, which was adopted by many Arab nations in the early 20th century. That flag, however, uses black for its top band, green for the middle, white for the bottom, and has a red triangle to the left. On Kuwait's flag, green stands for fertile fields, white for purity, red for blood on Kuwaitis' swords, and black for the defeat of the nation's enemies. I know that sound is ASMR to lots of people, including me. Another protests here, saying her trying to boycott an election. I mean, to me, that's a sign that your country is doing good if people can peacefully gather and air out their grievances in a safe way. To me, that's a successful country, in my opinion. If people feel safe enough to do that, then very good. A really cool photo of an oil refinery here. And we've got, let's see, a seafood market. That is like the most beautiful seafood market I've ever seen. And I'm from San Francisco, where we have seafood markets out the wazoo. That's a beautiful building. Enjoying a day on the beach. Make sure you bring your umbrellas. You're going to need the shade. My goodness, it must be so hot. And a resources map. You can see there's little patches of farming here for dates, vegetables, dairy. The rest is pretty much livestock herding and oil. And some mining, it looks like. Oh, there's a box over here. It says, encouraging entrepreneurs. The government of Kuwait has recently tried to develop new industries because its officials are worried about the country's economic dependence on oil. As part of this effort, Kuwait is encouraging citizens to become entrepreneurs and start their own businesses. The government provides entrepreneurs with grants of about 80% of the cost of starting a business. If the business fails, the entrepreneur does not have to pay back the money. The system allows people to start a business with very little personal risk. Still, few Kuwaitis take the government up on its offer. Most Kuwaitis have kept their government jobs because they are secure and pay well. That's pretty neat, though. Looks like they're working some construction here. And of course, it's very famous. It says down here that many workers come to Kuwait from kind of like all over the world, but by that I mean like the Arab world and like Southeast Asia mainly, but it's one of those places that always needs menial labor to some extent, and yeah, maybe we'll talk about that later. Let's read about the Kuwaiti Dinar. When Kuwait became an independent country, it adopted a new currency called the Kuwaiti Dinar. One of the most stable currencies in the world, the dinar was worth $3.53 in US money in 2013. Each dinar is divided into 1,000 fils. The Central Bank of Kuwait issues 5 coins worth 5, 10, 20, 50, and 100 fils. It also produces banknotes in 6 denominations: a 4th dinar, a half dinar, 1 dinar, and 5, 10, and 20 dinars. Kuwait's colorful dinar notes all feature the country's coat of arms. The bill also bears the words, "We seek God's assistance," on the front in Arabic and on the back in English. The various bills feature illustrations of Kuwaiti landmarks, such as the Grand Mosque of Kuwait, Liberation Tower, and Al-Shamia Gate, the only part of the old wall surrounding Kuwait City that still stands. On the back of the 1/4 and 1/2 dinar notes, in tribute to the children who guide Kuwait into the future, are pictures of girls and boys playing. That's nice. Looks like they're at a transit station here, talking on the phone. Some very happy, smiley faces there. Maybe they're taking a selfie in front of the Kuwait Towers, and look, someone's photobombing them. Population map, you could see pretty much everyone lived right about here. There's Al Jara. Let's read about people without nationality. About 120,000 residents of Kuwait are Bidoon Jinsiyah, Arabic for without nationality. Often called Bidoon, they are not citizens of Kuwait or anywhere else. They are people without a country. Unlike official Kuwaiti citizens, Bidoon do not receive generous benefits from the government. They cannot work legally, attend free Kuwaiti government schools, or get passports for travel. They are without rights and without options. The families of many Bidoon lived in Kuwait when the nation became independent, but they failed to register for Kuwaiti citizenship. Some could not read and write. Others did not hear about the need to register for citizenship or understand what was at stake. Now, decades later, they are still suffering. In recent years, protests have grown to try to gain more rights for Bidoon and foreign workers. In 2013, the Kuwaiti parliament passed a law giving 4,000 Bidoon people citizenship, but many more still wait. Yeah, it's like notoriously hard to become a citizen of Kuwait. I think it talks about it later in this book. You pretty much have to marry into a family to like guarantee it to some extent, but I kind of get why it's hard because, man, that government gives its citizens everything. They have so much money, they just throw money at their citizens. So they want to restrict the number of citizens, but you know, there's a lot of people like this, servants who come to the country looking for opportunities. So here's a Kuwaiti woman with her, it says Indian servant. There's way more people living in Kuwait who aren't Kuwaitis. Some signs here, you can see that they're in Arabic and English. We've got some phrases up here, but I'm not going to embarrass myself with my Arabic. Here's a teacher. Now, here's something for anyone who was born after like the year 2000, was that in schools we had these projectors. So this was a big box with a big light in it, and you would put like a piece of plastic on here, and this would project the picture onto like the chalkboard, because we had chalkboards back then, and then you could write on the plastic so everyone could see it. That's what we used back then. This is a blast from the past right here. That's what we used in schools. And they're at Kuwait University. It says university students. The sky is very deep in prayer. And let's read about reciting the Quran. Very difficult thing to do. Mishari Rashid Al-Afasi is internationally acclaimed for his recitations of the Quran, the holy book of Islam. Born in Kuwait in 1976, Al-Afasi studied the Quran at the Islamic University of Medina in Saudi Arabia. Through his studies, he became a noted Qari. Qaris recite portions of the Quran, often from memory, following specific rules for proper pronunciation. Al-Afasi frequently appears on television and has made many recordings. He also serves as the Imam of the Grand Mosque in Kuwait City. And this is a more modern mosque here. It says it's the Fatima Mosque. Really, really beautiful designs. And of course, every book I read about a Muslim majority country has just a picture of Mecca in it. Okay. It just always does. And the sun has set during Ramadan, so they are all eaten up. Yum, yum, yum. And this is now after Ramadan. It's Eid al-Fitr. You get to go play and have fun, especially for the kids. It's a big celebration. Let's read about the Islamic calendar. The dates of Muslim religious celebrations are based on the Islamic calendar. A year in this calendar has only 354 or 355 days. Therefore, it has 10 or 11 fewer days than the Western calendar. As a result, Muslim holidays fall on different days on the Western calendar each year. For instance, Kuwaitis celebrated the first day of Eid al-Fitr on August 19th in 2012 and August 8th in 2013. And there are some Greek Orthodox Kuwaitis here having their Mass. No, they're not. Are they? Oh, it's a special Mass following the death of the Emir in 2006. Gotcha. Reading the Quran here. And let's read about television controversy. In the fall of 2011, the television series Banat al-Tawaniya, or High School Girls, sparked a controversy in Kuwait. Based on a series of novels by Kuwaiti author Muhammad al-Nashmi, the series tells the story of 5 Kuwaiti teenage girls from different backgrounds. The show was scheduled to air in Kuwait during the holy month of Ramadan until several conservative politicians began speaking out against it. Without having seen the program, as people who speak out against media tend to do, one condemned the show as portraying Kuwaiti schools as dens of vice and corrupt manners, making the girls appear to be lewd and shameless. By the standards of American television, Banat al-Tawaniya was fairly tame in its presentation of teenagers. Yeah, imagine them watching Euphoria, right? But as the controversy suggests, Islamists in Kuwait are increasingly attacking popular culture, particularly its depiction of independent women and girls, as a way of drumming up support for their political and religious views. Let's see, here's a Catholic service, looks like it's Ash Wednesday, and Shia Muslims praying in their very beautiful mosque too. I love that, it's really pretty. It's a celebration, we're playing some drums there, and there's the towers in the background, so you know you're in Kuwait City. Wow, okay, what is this? It looks like a beautiful door. What is this? The Tariq Rajab Museum displays antiquities from around the Middle East, and it is an elaborate door. Wow, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And some Bedouin carpets, also incredibly intricate. Let's read about the House of Mirrors. One of Kuwait's most unique museums is in the Kuwait City suburb of Qadisiyah. Called the House of Mirrors, this museum is the home of Lydia al-Khattan, the Italian widow of Kuwaiti painter Khalifa al-Khattan. Long ago, Lydia al-Khattan accidentally broke a mirror and used the pieces to decorate a cabinet. Her husband was so impressed by her work that he encouraged her to continue. Eventually, she covered all the walls and furniture in the house with mosaics made from more than 75 tons of mirrors. Lydia al-Khattan now opens her magical, glittering home to visitors, and it is one of the most popular tourist attractions in Kuwait. Sounds really cool. Some musicians here looking very sparkly in those clothes. Love it. Let's read about a reality television superstar. Young Kuwaiti singer-songwriter Bashar al-Shati won international fame in 2004 when he appeared in Star Academy, a singing competition televised across the Middle East. Born in 1982, al-Shati studied piano and guitar before appearing on the program at age 21. He immediately became a celebrity throughout Kuwait. Declaring reality television a corrupting influence, many traditional religious leaders in Kuwait denounced Star Academy. They urged the National Assembly to ban the show and demanded that Kuwaitis refuse to watch it. Despite their protests, the people of Kuwait remained fascinated by al-Shati, who became, in their minds, a symbol of national pride. Although viewers used their cell phones to cast more than 1 million votes for al-Shati on the final day of the competition, he came in second, losing to Egypt's Mohammed Attia. Al-Shati has remained popular in Kuwait as both a recording artist and a television actor. This is about the 99. A major attraction in the Kuwaiti city of Al Jarrah is the 99 Village, a large theme park with games and rides. The theme park also features a stage show with characters from the 99. This comic book, created by Kuwaiti entrepreneur Naif Al-Mutawa, tells the story of a band of Muslim superheroes from various Middle Eastern countries. Each character in the 99 represents one of the 99 attributes of Allah, the name by which Muslims refer to God. In a speech in 2010, U.S. President Barack Obama praised Al-Mutawa and the 99 as superheroes who embody the teachings and tolerance of Islam. That's pretty cool, like a superhero-themed park, but with like religious meaning behind it. That's kind of neat. These are camel races. And it talks about here that they used to hire young boys to be the jockeys because you put too much weight on a camel, it can't go as fast as a camel race needs to be. So now they have robots that sit there. Very cool, very modern, right? And of course, Kuwait is very famous for its falcons. Let's read about an Olympic champion. One of the greatest target shooters in the world, Fahid al-Dihani, is the only Kuwaiti athlete to win a medal at the Olympics. I wonder if that's still true. I didn't check up on that. Let me know in the comments. Born in 1966, al-Dihani began shooting rifles and shotguns for sport when he was just 6 years old. With his older brother, he improved his target shooting skills at a shooting club in the city of Al-Amadi. After graduating from a military college in 1988, al-Dihani devoted all his time to this sport. During his long career, he has won more than 90 medals and awards in international shooting competitions, but the most prestigious are his 2 Olympic bronze medals. Al-Dihani won his first bronze medal during the 2000 Olympic Games in Sydney, Australia, and his second at the 2012 Games in London, England. At the London Olympics, al-Dihani also had the honor of carrying the Kuwaiti flag during the opening ceremonies, an event that he found nearly as exciting as winning his medal. He told the Kuwaiti Times, "That was a very emotional moment for me. When we entered the stadium and Kuwait's name was announced, I kissed that flag." After winning his second Olympic medal, al-Dihani considered giving up shooting, but urged on by the Emir of Kuwait, he decided to continue training for the 2016 Olympic Games. I wonder how he did in Rio. Yeah, let me know about him. That's an interesting story. We've got a basketball player here competing against the Qatar team there. Pretty cool. International game. There's a very proud papa with the sweet baby. So cute. And taking a selfie. Very nice. Let's read about al-Wahabis. Today, Kuwaitis often spend their leisure time watching television, going to a theater or museum, or taking strolls through a park. But in the past, they enjoyed playing a variety of traditional games. One favorite game was al-Wahabis. The game was played by 2 teams, alternating turns. Each turn, a member from one team hid a ring in his or her hand. The other team got a point if it correctly guessed who had the ring. The team with the most points at the end of the game won. After the game, all the players sat down together to enjoy an array of treats. Sounds kind of fun, actually. I like that. Playing some card games there. And this is about choosing spouses. Look at this handsome bride and groom here. In the past, Kuwaiti parents would select suitable spouses for their sons and daughters, often with the help of a professional matchmaker. They wanted to make sure their children married into a family with the same social status or a higher social status than their own. Today, many young people want to choose their own husbands or wives. They may even marry a non-Kuwaiti, especially if they spend some time abroad. However, if they do, they are likely to meet with some resistance from their family. According to Kuwaiti law, a female Kuwaiti who marries a non-Kuwaiti loses her Kuwaiti citizenship, including all the financial rewards that come with it. The same law, however, does not apply to a Kuwaiti man married to a foreigner. This guy's drinking some cinnamon tea, which I like cinnamon and I like tea, but I don't know how I feel about cinnamon tea. I'm gonna have to find a place to try that. There's some McDonald's, which, okay. If you know the Foodie Beauty drama, which if you don't know the Foodie Beauty drama, do not look it up. Do not get involved in that corner of YouTube. It's a brain rot. But those who are see this and go like, oh god, a Kuwaiti fast food place. Anyway, don't look it up. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just move on with your lives, please. Don't get involved in that. This guy's selling some really cool pots and mugs and things, I think. I mostly see pots, but looks very proud, doesn't he? Beautiful shopping center here with big pretty chandeliers and celebrating National Day out on the beach. Very, very cool. And that is the end of our book. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this video relaxing and educational. If you enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing. I was about to say I'm going to be doing another book next week like this, but I'm going to check it out tomorrow at the library, so I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like 90% sure I'll be doing a video like this next week, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. I hope that you found this video relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a very good night.